One of my favorite blitz setups in this early Madden 25 season that brings extreme A-gap pressure on the quarterback is a defense that doesn't take a whole lot as far as setting it up, yet it brings that A-gap pressure, plus you can bring some outside pressure along with doing some other things that's going to confuse your opponent once he snaps the ball. The X factor that we use for this video breakdown is Jaguars right outside linebacker Foyesade Oluokun. For this blitz setup, the name of the defense that we use is out the nickel wide. It's called Overstorm Brave. Now you can find this one out of several playbooks, and for this video breakdown, we're going to use the Jaguars Playbook. Before I hit the field, I want to show a couple substitutions that I like to make out of the nickel wide when I'm running this particular blitz I'm about to show. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at it. First off, now you could use packages you want. I'm just going to go straight into the subs. And the very first sub that I'm going to make is Allen. Now he lines up at the right end position. What I prefer to do is to move him over to the left end position. You're going to see later in the video breakdown why I do that. And then that means I've got to go back over here and I'm going to put Walker back in at the left end position. So again, as you look at it, you've got Allen lined up here, and then you've got Walker lined up here as far as the defensive ends. Now, if you want to, you could also put linebackers there. It's whatever you want to do. The other one that I want to make is the player that I'm focusing in on as far as the X factor. And I'm going to go ahead and show you where he's at as you look at your screen here. And this is going to be Oluokun, and I'm trying to pronounce his name as best I can. And he's lined up right here at the right outside linebacker position. At least that's his position. Now, as you look at your screen, he's technically, in my opinion, he's lined up at the left outside linebacker position, but he's lined up there nevertheless. And what we want to do is, again, you could use the packages and try to move him around, or you can simply just sub him out and mess around with the subs. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sub him out. And if you wanted to, you could always bring in a safety over here. It's up to you. I prefer this guy right here because I think he's a 93 speed, and that just puts him at really fast speed. So there, he'll be there. And then we're going to line up Lloyd on the other side there. So if you look at it, as you look at your screen here, I've got Oluokun lined up right here, and then I've got Lloyd lined up over here. Now you can, like I said, you can put safeties in there if you want. That's up to you. For this purpose of this video breakdown, that's what we're going to do as far as the setup, as far as the subs are concerned. For now, I'm just going to make one defensive coaching adjustment, and that's just to have auto flip defensive play call turned off. Now, with auto alignment, you can set that to base. We'll talk about that later in the video breakdown. But for now, let's go default. And these other adjustments, this is really up to you. I know some of you guys like to adjust down here, especially in zones, but seeing this as a man defense, I really don't need to show that to you for right now. But right now, just make sure you got auto flip defensive play call turned off. Before we go any further, let's take a look at the play breakdown when it comes to the nickel wide Overstorm Brave before the snap. Now you're going to notice you've got 5 defenders that are in man coverage. So you're going to have these 5 defenders that are in man coverage as you look at your screen. And then you're going to have these 6 pass rushers as you look at it. So you got these 6 guys coming after the quarterback, whether they're blitzing or rushing the quarterback. Now, with that said, this is also another one of those cover zero defenses. So we don't really have the problem with the cover zero defenses, as I've already pointed out in a lot of these videos I've done over the years, is that you got zero coverage here, meaning you don't have anybody playing over the top. Now, what I'm going to show later in the video breakdown, when I show other adjustments, I'm going to show you some things you can do with this that's really going to confuse your opponent, and it's going to really help you out. Matter of fact, as we get further in the video breakdown towards the end of it, I'm going to show you how you can make this defense just a 4-man pass rush. But for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at this defense without making any other adjustments pre-snap. And you can see where the pressure generally comes from. Usually it's going to come from one of the ends in most cases. If you were to do something like this with one adjustment, but I'm going to reset it. So if we don't make any adjustments, generally it's going to come from one of these inside linebackers that are going to apply the pressure on the quarterback, whether it be this guy right here or this one right here. It all depends on which one shoots through. But let's go ahead and run it and not make any adjustments as you look at your screen here. So we'll just run the play right there. You can see it comes from that linebacker right there shooting through, which is going to be actually the left outside linebacker. Now, if you were to do something like this, then it's going to come from one of the ends. Now, you'll notice the cool thing about this is by just pressing the shift defense and pressing down the left stick, you can actually get this to look like the double mug as you look at it. So again, this time you're going to get some pressure coming from one of the ends. In this case, it's going to come from the right end. So that's the play breakdown of this play as far as not making any adjustments at all. If you're looking just to get some simple A-gap heat or getting some outside pressure, you can leave it as is by default. You could call, press coverage, something like this. And then you're going to end up getting some pressure coming from the one of those linebackers. This time it comes from the right inside linebacker. Or if you want, you could go ahead and do what I showed earlier and just go ahead and shift the defensive line or defense down where you pinch them and it looks like the double mug. And then you can get pressure coming off the one of the edges there. In this case, again, it's going to come from that linebacker, or excuse me, from that right end right there. It just came off the edge. The third blitz setup that I want to show out in nickel wide over Storm Brave here is going to allow us to drop a defender into zone coverage. So I want to go ahead and show that to you as I run through this. And this one's pretty nice as far as bringing that A-gap pressure coming from that linebacker, but now we get to drop a guy into zone coverage. So the setup's the same as before as far as shifting the defense and pinching them down, such as you see on your screen there. The next thing we're going to do is call QB contain. And then we're going to slide this guy, which is one I'm in control of right now. Again, this is the left end. I'm going to slide him in 2 notches this time, not 1, but 2. And then I want to go ahead and put him in a curl flat. Okay, there's the play right there as you look at it. There's the setup. And again, we're looking to go ahead and get this pressure coming from this linebacker shooting through this A-gap. And then on top of that, we're going to get 2 defenders that are still in QB contain. You got this guy in QB contain here. And rather than be the left end, it's now the strong side defensive tackle that's in QB contain. So we got those guys. So as far as the rest of the setup is concerned, we're still going to hold down that right trigger. And then we're going to go ahead and snap the ball here. And I just want to show you guys what will happen with this one. And then right there, we get that A-gap pressure. And then we can do that right there. You can see those guys dropping back. So what I want to do here is I want to go in the X and O's of this play because I want to show you guys the blocking assignments with this. All right, from a top-down view, we can get a better idea of how the X and O's of this particular play works here in Instant Replay. And as you look at it, there's some things that are going on here that are really cool as far as making this blitz work. Now, the first thing I want to show here is I want to talk about these 2 guys right here, these 2 offensive linemen. This is the center and the right guard. Now, one would think that the center would look to pick up Oluokun, who's blitzing through this gap right here, through this A-gap. But what really happens is he works his way back over towards the left outside linebacker and actually ends up blocking him. And these 2 guys actually double team that linebacker right there as you look at it. And then what's going to happen here is this guy right here, which is this right tackle, he's actually going to look to block as well to the inside over here as well. You're going to see him look to block to the inside. So he's going to look to block the strong side defensive tackle, which ultimately frees up this guy, which is the guy that I'm in control of, which is Allen. He's not going to get blocked at all. He's going to get that free rush. Now, remember, I'm holding down that right trigger before the snap, and then I'm working my way to the outside to prevent that quarterback from rolling out, as I talked about earlier. We don't want him to roll out away from the blitz as far as the A-gap pressure that's coming from Oluokun, who's shooting through this right here. So he's going to end up coming through and applying the pressure. Now, the other thing is you look at here is that this guy right here, which is the left tackle, he's going to go ahead and block this guy right here, which is going to be the right end. Sometimes that right end doesn't even get blocked. Sometimes what will end up happening here is this right tackle may look to block to the inside sometimes on occasion. You may see that happen. And then also this guy right here, which is going to be the left guard, he's going to go ahead and block. As you look at it, he'll look to block, which would be this guy right here, which is going to be the weak side defensive tackle. So that's how this works. So let's look at this as I go through the instant replay here and slow it down a little bit. All right, so first thing I talked about earlier, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You can see as you look at your screen that these 2 guys right here are doubling up this strong side defensive tackle. All right, so you see that on your screen as you look. And then over here, as I talked about, this right tackle slides in now, and he's blocking the strong side defensive tackle. And then over here again, as we point this all out to you, as I do through this illustration here, again, the left tackle's blocking over here, blocking that in. And then you got this guy right here, the the left guard blocking this guy right here, which is a weak side defense tackle. So this ends up creating a gap, if you will. This creates a gap right here where, again, we can get this linebacker who shoots through and applies the pressure on the quarterback, basically without being blocked as you look at it. So he applies the pressure and gets in. And then here I come to the outside, making sure that, again, that quarterback doesn't roll out. So that's it on that as far as that setup. Now, as you look at the coverages, I realize there's some, there's some issues here. You've got, one of the things you got going on here is that you can see the running backs coming out of the backfield over here. Now, if you remember right earlier, before the pre-snap, this guy was actually supposed to be covering a tight end, and then this guy here was supposed to be covering a running back. Fortunately for us, they actually switch off, and then it changes something like this as you look at it. So at least we got some decent coverages without making any adjustments as far as moving those defenders there as you look at your screen. So that's it right there. And as you go back in here, let's do one last thing here. Let's turn on the ticker here, because I always like doing the ticker with you guys. So let's do the ticker here real quick. Let's reset it and see how fast we actually get in here. Let's reset it. All right, so let's go ahead and run the ticker here and look at this and see what happens with the blitz as far as applying the pressure on the quarterback. So right there, we get in there in just what, 1.5 seconds. Pretty damn quick, if you ask me. So that's pretty nice as far as bringing the pressure on the quarterback. We get in there about 1.5. Let's go ahead and reset it one more time and run it again here. So let's go ahead and do it. Maybe a little quicker, but it's in that area. So about 1.5 seconds, maybe. That's pretty fast. That's a nano type blitz. And back in the day when I used to play the game, when I was a lot younger than I am now, those are the type of blitzes that I remember seeing pretty consistently in the game that you could create. Ever since, over the years, they've tried to basically nerf these nano blitzes, but they're still in the game. You just got to look around for them. All right, so that's the ticker right there. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go into another setup. It's going to be very similar to this one. That's going to allow us to get more A-gap pressure coming from that linebacker, but also we're going to do some other things that are going to create some more havoc for our opponent. The second setup I'm about to show is similar to the first setup, but you have a couple more adjustments to make here. So let's go ahead and show you how to do that one. So we'll pinch the defensive line, or shift the defense and down, such as what you see on your screen there. And then the next thing we want to do is we're going to call QB contain. And there you go right there. As you look at it, you can see we've got both of the defensive ends now in QB contain. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this guy in to the inside, such as what you see on your screen there. And then I'm going to re-hot route him to blitz. And there you go. There's the setup right there. Now this time, the only difference is now we got one defender in QB contain to the left as you look at your screen, which is going to be this defensive lineman, this right end. And what we're looking for is for him to be to the outside to prevent our opponent from trying to roll the quarterback out towards this direction. And then as far as we're concerned, we're going to work our way over here and take that away over towards the right, so you can't roll out towards the right side as you look at your screen. And again, it's the same pressure coming up the gut here from this linebacker shoots through the A gap. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and run this, and you guys will see. Now, as far as the pass blocking and all that, it all shapes up pretty much the same. Doesn't really change anything there. Everybody's going to be blocking pretty much the same buddy I showed earlier when we went into instant replay and look at the X and O's of the play. So let's go ahead and run this, and then we'll go into another blitz setup here. And right there, you can see we get the pressure on the quarterback. Coverage is the same. Pretty much everything else is identical as far as that. So I'm not going to go into the X and O's of that because it's pretty much the same. So let's go into the next blitz setup, which will be the third blitz setup I show. The third blitz setup that I want to show out in nickel wide over Storm Brave here is going to allow us to drop a defender into zone coverage. So I want to go ahead and show that to you as I run through this. And this one's pretty nice as far as bringing the that A-gap pressure coming from that linebacker, but now we get to drop a guy into zone coverage. So the setup's the same as before as far as shifting the defense and pinching them down, such as you see on your screen there. The next thing we're going to do is call QB contain. And then we're going to slide this guy, which is one I'm in control of right now. Again, this is the left end. I'm going to slide him in 2 notches this time, not 1, but 2. And then I want to go ahead and put him in a curl flat. Okay, there's the play right there as you look at it. There's the setup. And again, we're looking to go ahead and get this pressure coming from this linebacker shooting through this A-gap. And then on top of that, we're going to get 2 defenders that are still in QB contain. You got this guy in QB contain here. And rather than be the left end, it's now the strong side defensive tackle. It's in QB contain. So we got those guys. So as far as the rest of the setup is concerned, we're still going to hold down that right trigger. And then we're going to go ahead and snap the ball here. And I just want to show you guys what will happen with this one. And then right there, we get that A-gap pressure, and then we can do that right there. You can see those guys dropping back. So what I want to do here is I want to go in the X and O's of this play because I want to show you guys the blocking assignments with this. All right, from the top down view, again, we're in the X and O's of the play. Let's take a look at the blocking assignments this time. Now, the cool thing about this one is that what happens here is the blocking assignments mainly just change to the right side of the offensive line. So this guy right here, which is going to be the right tackle, what he's going to do is he's actually not going to look to block this guy. What he's going to do is he's going to block this guy right here. He's going to block to the inside here, all the way to the inside, and try to take away this weak side defensive tackle as you look at your screen there. And then as we can go through this, these two guys, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. These two guys here, which again, it's going to be the right guard and the center, they're going to look to block the weak side defensive tackle, block the strong side defensive tackle, such as you see on your screen here. So there's the strong side defensive tackle. They're being double teamed. And then as far as over here towards the left, as you look at it, these two guys right here are still being blocked by the same as before. And then our linebacker here shoots through and squeezes through here and applies the pressure as far as getting to the quarterback. Now, the other thing I want to look at here is I talked about was dropping this defender here back into the curl flat. So you're going to end up having this guy dropping back into the curl flat as you look at it. So he can drop back here, which is nice. He drops back into curl flat. And then as we zoom out, we still get our man coverage out here. Now, I actually switched off to this defender here, which is a guy taking a running back as you look at it. I actually switched over here and took him. Now, that's up to you to do that if you want to. So the blitz is still there. We still get to the pressure on the quarterback. Plus, now we got an additional defender dropping back into some type of zone coverage. Now, you could put him in a hook zone as well, or whatever you want to do. Or if you wanted to, you could put him in man coverage on the running back and have two guys on the running back. You can do all kinds of things with this one. So that's something you might want to take a look at. All right, now we're going to go into the fourth blitz, and I'm actually going to drop another defender into zone coverage as well. All right, we're going to take a look at the fourth blitz setup out of nickel wide over Storm Brave. And this one's really nice because we're going to have two defenders dropping back into zone coverage. We'll have 4 men rushing the quarterback, and we'll have 5 defenders in man coverage. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Same setup as before. You go ahead and pinch the defense so it makes it look like this. We're in a double mug. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to call QB contain. It's going to put these guys right now temporarily in both into QB contain. The next thing you want to do is you want to switch off to this guy right here, which is going to be the strong side defensive tackle as you look at your screen. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put him into a bluff blitz. So let's go ahead and do that as you look at it. So I'll put him into a bluff blitz. See if I can get that to work. He's in the bluff blitz. Next thing you want to do is you want to take control of this guy right here. You want to slide him over 2 notches, and then we're going to put him into a curl flat. The cool thing about this setup that I'm showing here is you don't have to have him in a curl flat. If you want to put this guy into the flat, you could. If you'd rather have him drop back in a hook zone, you can. If you want to put him in a man coverage, maybe on the running back, you can. So you get double 2 guys on the running back and man coverage. That's up to you. The other thing here is same thing with this guy right here. We put him into that 3 receiver hook with the bluff blitz, or you can put him into a hook left, a hook right, whatever you want to do with him. It's up to you. Okay. As far as with that, it doesn't change anything up as far as the blitz setup is concerned. Again, now we got this guy in QB contain. We got one guy in QB contain over here. And then we got this guy shooting through the A gap, applying the pressure on the quarterback as you look at it. So let's go ahead and run this, and you guys will see what I mean with this. I'm going to go ahead and run it and snap it. And then right there, we get that A gap pressure. We're dropping back with that defender that I'm in control of. And you can see right there. What I want to do now is I want to go into instant replay, back into the X and O's, and take a look at the pass blocking assignments with this particular setup. All right, from the top down view, let's take a look at these pass blocking assignments. And I'm going to show you how this particular one works out. Now, the one that really stands out here as far as the pass blocking goes is going to be this guy right here, which is the right tackle. He doesn't actually look to block anybody. He's just going to be blocking air, a lot of grass here. That's all he's going to be looking to block. There's no one rushing him, so he's just going to stand here and not really do anything as far as blocking anybody. Now, the rest of it, you're going to see something like this. This guy here is going to slide in and block into this area here. And then right here, you're going to get these 2 guys blocking basically the, more or less, they're just going to be blocking one guy, and that's going to be this linebacker who's blitzing. Because if you remember right, we've got this guy dropping back into 3 receiver hook. This is that that strong side defensive tackle. Then we have this guy dropping back into curl flat. So you get these two guys basically 2 for 1 blocking just one guy here, which is nice. And then we still have the rest of the blocking looks the same over here. You got this guy blocking there and you got this guy blocking here, but no one accounts for this linebacker who shoots through the A gap and applies the pressure on the quarterback. So let's go ahead and run this and you'll see right there. See right there as you look at it, there's your two guys blocking that I talked about earlier. You got these two guys now blocking here. Get these two guys blocking there, blocking that one defender. And then as you look at it, you get this offensive lineman, this right tackle. Basically, he's looking out here at that end, the one I'm in control of, but he's not blocking anybody. And then as you look at your screen here, as we zoom in, here's your pressure coming up the gut pretty damn quick as far as getting the pressure on the quarterback. So that's what's really nice about these setups that I'm showing, that you're still going to consistently get pressure on the quarterback, but yet we can drop all those guys into, back into pass coverages. We get those 2 extra defenders dropping back into zone coverage as you look at your screen right there. And then we get those 5 defenders that are in man coverage. So as you look at it, again, we got this guy here in hook. You got this guy. This guy looks like he's doing a high step over here, doing all the crazy stuff that he does. But rather or not, you got all these guys and you got those other 5 defenders, in man coverage. So this is a pretty nice blitz setup that you can run, and that's going to really pay off. Now, I've got some other things I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about other adjustments you can make with these particular blitz setups that you guys can add to it if you so choose to. All right, now I'm going to show you some adjustments that you can make with this, particularly the coverage shells behind the blitz. And one of the cool things about this particular formation being the nickel wide is that you can actually change the shell coverage before the snap right here on the play call screen. So as you look at it, right now we're set to default. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this so you guys can see this as you look at it. I'm going to set this, I'm going to change this up here. So as you look at it, you can see I'm zooming in there and it's set to default, right? Well, the cool thing about this particular defense is you can switch this with this particular formation. You can switch these to these different coverages. I'm going to come out and cover 4 right now, and I'm going to show you what this is going to show as far as what the coverages look like to your opponent. All right, now that we're on the field, you guys can see if you are on the offensive side of things, this looks like cover 4 for the most part. If you look at it, you can see that these 2 defenders right here are lined up off the line of scrimmage, and so are these 2 safeties, or 2 corners. So you got the 2 safeties lined up, looks like cover 4, plus you got the nickel back over here. So it's not like they're in press coverage. As far as your opponent's concerned, it looks like basically cover 4. Now, if you were to put a receiver in motion, that would change things up. Obviously, unfortunately, the defender would follow that receiver and give away that you're actually in man coverage, but maybe he thinks it's covered 2. Now, the cool thing is, it's not really going to change anything here as you look at this. When I do this, those safeties really don't move all that much. They stay up there. It still kind of looks like cover 2, at least at the bare minimum. Maybe I'm in cover 2, maybe audible into a cover 2, or try to do some, some crazy stuff. But as you look at it, obviously we're in cover 0. Now, the cool thing, other thing about this is we can run this defense the same as I've been showing. So I'm going to do the very first setup that I showed initially, where I just slide this guy into one notch to the left. And then I'm not going to do anything else as far as with the setup. Just know that you guys can make all those other adjustments that I've already shown you guys as far as those blitz setups and still get that same type of pressure. The only thing we're messing with here is just the coverage shell. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and snap the ball here. I want you guys to watch, and we should get that same type of pressure here coming from that linebacker who shoots through that A gap. And then I'm just going to drop my guy back. But right there, you can see we get that same type of pressure. So that's just one example of something that you can do with the coverage shells that are going to, throw your opponent off. I'm going to show you another coverage adjustment that you can make that's really cool. All right, this time I'm going to set the shell coverage back to default. So as you look at it, you can see right now I went from cover 4 to default. Now keep in mind, you guys can use those other coverage adjustments as well. Let's go ahead and show that real quick again while we're here. Just keep in mind, you can go cover 0, 2-man, cover 2, cover 3, or cover 4, or even cover 6. As far as what you want to do on the back end with this particular setups I'm showing. However, I'm going to show you guys something else that's really nice here. So let's go back into default here. And I'm going to show you something you can do to confuse your opponent and also change up the way it looks. Even though it's still going to look like cover 3, it's going to be the way the safeties are going to rotate. That's what I'm going to show here. So let's go into it and I'll show you how that works. All right, remember we've got the coverage shell set to default. Now the cool thing about this particular formation, as I've already pointed out, is that you can adjust the coverage shells, rather it be on the screen at the play call screen, or once you get on the field, you can still adjust it here by hitting the Y button, or in this case, maybe if you're playing on the PlayStation 5, it'd be the triangle. But you notice right there, you've got show 2 and show 3. I'm going to go ahead and go show 3 here, and that's going to bring the strong safety up closer to the line of scrimmage as you look at it. And then you're going to have this guy rotate over here. So that's what it initially looks like to my opponent. That looks like cover 3. But once I go ahead and do this and I pinch the defense, such as what I'm going to do here, it still kind of looks like cover 3, but it looks like we're in press as you look at it. But here's your thing right there. Now, as you look at it, we've got this safety now, as I talked about earlier, the strong safety. He's up closer to the line of scrimmage, and he's in man coverage here. As you look at it, he's going to be on the tight end. And then you got this guy over here who's in man coverage on this guy right here. So unlike those other blitzes what I've been showing, remember those safeties were lined up further off the line of scrimmage. Now you've got it set up like this. Now, the one thing that should end up happening once the ball snaps, you may see a switch between those safeties where one covers the free safety covers the tight end and the running back, depending on which way these guys go out. And then that other safety ends up covering the running back. So at any rate, the setup here has pretty much been the same as what I've been showing here. So let's go back in here. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to use the first setup that I showed earlier. I'm going to slide this guy into one notch. Not really the way I want him to be set up there, but at any rate, he's kind of crooked, but it's still going to work. It should anyways. And we're going to go ahead and run this play as is here at this point. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this, hold down that right trigger, and then we'll see it. Man, he actually got blocked. Now, I could have something to do with the way that guy was doing his thing. Let's try this one more time here. So let's show blitz here. Show 3, and go ahead and basically pinch the defense and then slide this guy into one notch. So I'm a little bit confused on what I'm doing here, but at any rate, there it is, guys. The same setup as I've shown there. Now he's lined up right. We'll hold down the controller, and then we get that A gap pressure. So at any rate, that's something else you can do. Now, the only other thing I want to show here why we're here is you can flip this defense, and it's going to basically look like the coverage is just switched. So in the cover 3, rather than having the strong safety down near the line of scrimmage, you're actually going to have the free safety. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to flip the defense right here on the screen here. You can see right there, I've flipped it. I know you guys can't tell right now at this point, but you'll see here in a second once I do this. So the next thing I'm going to do is go show 3. Here comes the free safety. The safety up there is playing high, the strong safety, as you look at it. And then I'm going to go ahead and call this. And right there's your coverages. Now, something I talked about earlier that you might consider doing here, I'm going to put this guy, just for the heck of it, I'm going to put him in man coverage on the tight end. Now, as you look at it, when I talk about that guy, that's going to be this defensive end, the one I've been controlling. This is Allen. I've actually hot routed him into man coverage on the tight end. I also got this in man coverage on this guy as well, as you look at it. So there you got 2 guys. So that way, if they try to throw a quick pass to that tight end, I'm actually going to have that guy dropping back along with that safety and double coverage on the tight end. Maybe if you're playing a team like what has Kelsey with the Chiefs, that might be something you consider doing. At any rate, we're going to do this at the rest of the setup here. We're going to run it. I want you guys to watch what happens with this. It's going to be the same pressure, but this time, just remember, we flipped the defense. We've got the safety down near the line of scrimmage. As you look at it, we've got this safety down near the line of scrimmage, the free safety, and this guy's playing top, the strong safety. All right, let's go ahead and run this one more time here. And then you'll see what I mean right there. It's right there. It actually got blocked, but most of the time we should end up getting in on that. Let's do it one more time here. The same thing here and do the same setup here. So these are just some adjustments you might want to make, additional adjustments that you might want to make. We'll flip the defense right there. Call show 3. Pinch the defense. Bring this guy in one notch. I'm going to go ahead and put him on man coverage. I'm not sure why the blitz didn't work on there, but there it is right there. The same setup that I showed earlier. And then right there, we come up through the A gap. So there's the setups right there, guys, as far as what that goes. You could also hot routed that, that left end or right end again, or the left end here. You could have hot routed him on whatever you want. If you wanted to, put him in a hook zone, we could have still done that. If we wanted to put him in the flat, all that doesn't change. We can do all that different things with this setup here as far as with the coverages. All we're doing is flipping the defense here. As you look at it, we're just going to flip the defense. And then we just want to show 3 here. Now let's flip it. Let's reset it here. And then we're going to go ahead and flip it. And then we're going to show 3. And there's the setup right there. And then we'll just call, go ahead and pinch the defense. So there's a lot of different things you can do. This time I'll put him into let's put him into a vertical hook, slide him in one notch, and then hold down that right trigger before the snap. And watch what happens here. And we get that same pressure. So that's some different things you can do. Now I've got one other thing I want to show here before I get out of here as far as with the adjustments. And also, I actually got a couple things I still need to show here. I know this is a long video, but I really wanted to go over a lot of different things with you. The next thing I'm going to show is you don't have to hold down the right trigger. What you can do is you can hold down the, you can just hold down the A button or the, you know, whatever button you want to, the A button or X button, depending on what controller you're on. So let's do that right now. So we're going to flip this play. No, we're not going to flip it. We're just going to do this. We're going to go ahead and pinch the defensive line. Now this would be if you're in a case that you're playing a hot seat. So maybe you're playing a tournament and you don't want to show your hand. You don't want to have this like this the whole damn time. You know, maybe you want to do something like this. So I'm going to hold down the, A button before the snap, and I'll show you what happens here with this. I do got to slide them in one notch to the inside here. I'll just hold down the A button before the snap. You can do that. Didn't actually get the pressure there, but that's something you can do. Now, again, that's something you can do if you're playing online, but if you're playing in a hot seat, you can't do that. So what you'd have to do is do this. As you look at your screen right there, now I'm going to hold down that A button. And we're going to try to get that pressure. That time I actually came from the outside, didn't get what I wanted. But if you hold down that A button, a lot of times you can still get that same pressure before the snap if you're doing a hot seat. Let's slide them in again. And then once the ball snaps, there comes the pressure. And I hit that A button real quick and I still got that pressure. So that's another way of doing that. So again, if you guys want to try this, again, if you're playing in an offline tournament, or you're playing against your buddy sitting right next to you and you don't want to give away what you're doing, just hold down that A button after ball snap, and generally he'll still get in. And you can see we still got pressure from the outside from that defensive end. So that's another thing you guys can do as far as other adjustments you can make with this defense. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is what I'm going to go into next, and that's talking about six-man pass protection schemes. All right, now I've been showing all these nice blitz setups against these 5 guys that go out as far as receivers are concerned. So what happens if they do six-man pass protection schemes? So what I want to do here is I'm going to show you what'll happen and see what you guys think. So let's go ahead and go into it. The first thing I'm going to do here before I go with the running back staying in the pass block, I'm just going to hot route him to do block and release. So you can see right there on your screen that he's in block and release as you look at it. Now let's go ahead and run the rest of the defense. I'm going to show you guys the blitz setup that I did at number 4 blitz setup. If you remember right, that's the one where we have just a 4-man pass rush. So this guy here is going to go into a hook zone. I'll put him in a hook zone. Now let's do bluff zone. That's what we did initially. So we'll put him into a bluff zone. We're going to take control of this guy right here. We're going to bring him in 2 notches, and then we're going to put him into a curl flat. So there's the setup right there as far as with this defense. So this is kind of similar to what I did in the 4th one there. Now keep in mind that running back staying in the pass block. I'm going to go ahead and run this, and I want you guys to watch what happens here with this setup here. We still get the pressure on the quarterback. Okay, now that's with the running back being hot routed into a delayed where he looks to block and then he releases. I think what happens with that, because it's only a 4-man pass rush, he doesn't need to stay in the pass block because he's only got 4 guys coming in. He's not interested in it. He might as well go out. He figures it's only a 4-man pass rush. It's not like it's a 5 or 6-man pass rush where he needs to stay in the pass block. So that's just one of the adjustments that you can make. Now this time, let's watch it with the running back staying in the pass block. I will tell you, it is going to change things up. It's going to make it a lot more difficult for us to get the pressure that I've been showing here. So let's go with this, and let's do the same setup that I just showed. I can tell you right now, we're not going to get that same pressure, but I just want to do it with you guys so you guys can see it right there. So there's that. We'll put him into the bluff zone, and then we'll slide this guy over. We'll slide him over and put him into the curl flat. All right, there's the curl flat. There's the running back staying in the pass block as you see on your screen. And let's go ahead and run this. As I said before, you're not going to get the same type of pressure with this one. So we'll snap it here. And then right there, you can see it gets picked up. You can almost see that guy does kind of get in there, but he gets blocked. And that's the other linebacker that actually shoots through. If you go into instant replay there, you would have saw that. So that's right there as far as with that. It's going to be picked up for the most part as far as that setup goes. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. Let's do one more where we do an option here. And I want to show that to you guys real quick. Let's do one where it's an actual option. Somebody stays in the pass block here. Let's go into another formation. There's something else I did want to show later. Let's do this shallow cross out of the tight Y off weak. And we'll go back into this. And this time we're going to do this same setup I've been showing here. We're going to put this guy into, put him into the bluff zone, bluff blitz, and then take control of this guy, slide him in, put him in a curl flat. Now keep in mind, as you look at this one, the running back is in fact going out, but he's doing the delayed as far as that. He's going to block and then he's going to release. So let's run this and see what happens with it. And there we end up getting blocked and don't really get the pressure. Now, again, that's with the by default, but hopefully, you know, you got your guys that are rushing that you can still get that. Now, keep in mind, that was with a 4-man pass rush, and you're hoping that that defensive end here, the one I showed over here, can fight through and get through this guy right here, even though it's only a 4-man pass rush. Let's do the same setup that I showed earlier, but not this time, but not with the guys all dropping out as far as, you know, dropping back into pass, or as far as dropping back into pass coverage, as far as those two, the defensive end and the strong side defensive tackle. So let's go ahead and run it this time and do it this way. And remember, again, that running back staying in the pass block, at least delayed anyways. And then right there, we're going to try to get in. That time, you can see that that guy didn't even look to block him. So rather than that's always going to happen all the time, who knows? But you can see right there that we got the pressure on the quarterback, even with the running back staying in the pass block there. So again, we'll hold down that right trigger, and then we get that same pressure. And that's with the running back staying in the pass block, at least delayed before he goes out. So that's some of the things you guys got to watch for with this. Now, I'm not going to do all the slide protection because this video is getting really, really long, but I really wanted to show you guys all the different things you guys can look for. Something else you need to be really aware of when you run this particular setup that I'm showing is against play action. And as you look at it, this is play action crossers. And as you look at it, you can see that the running back staying in the pass block after he receives the play fake from the quarterback. You also got the tight end. He's running a delayed flat over to the right. So he's blocking, then he's releasing to the outside. And of course, you got those 3 receivers over there. That's a pretty deadly combination right there, if you ask me. This is a pretty nice play as far as on the offensive side of things. But with that said, you can still, you know, run this. And what I'm going to suggest to you guys is to hit the RB button and then guess play and then hit pass. That's going to help out a little bit. And then you want to go ahead and do this, just set up the defense like I've been showing. And there it is right there. Now, I can't guarantee you're going to get any kind of pressure from the inside linebacker. Most of the time you won't. Probably going to get it blocked, but hopefully somebody will shoot through or get through the outside and get to the quarterback before he has time to make this throw after the play fake. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and run this play. I'll be in control of the quarterback this time. And right there, you're just hoping that somebody can get to him. And that's not always going to be the case, because if he doesn't, then he's going to have those guys open. I can promise you that there's going to be enough time probably where he can make this throw, because you really think about this. This is a 6-man pass protection, but with the tight end staying in initially and then going out, it's really a 7-man if you really think about this. So this play is not going to be quite as effective, at least the setup I'm showing, against this type of play. Let's go ahead and run it one more time here. And then we're just hoping we can get it off. And that time we able to get it off into a touchdown. So that's something you guys got to watch out for when you run this defense. As much as I like to say this is a great defense, there's obviously some coverage flaws in it. Now that comes back to something that I talked about earlier. And when you run this, you can run it like this. Don't forget, you can audible into other defenses within this. If you start thinking your opponent's doing a lot of play action, you always have the options of, you know, putting this guy into a curl hook. You can put this guy into maybe that flat and then set the flats to 15, 20, 25 yards, whatever you want to do, and then run it like that. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I've been doing as far as with this. Let me hit that pass button right there. And this would be something else you might consider doing. So there we go right there. Now he's got time to throw it, but hopefully you can get to it before he gets to it. So there's just some things you got to watch out for with this. This is not a defense that's going to work every single time. You've got to mix it in with some other defenses within the game. You know, just try to mess around with it and do some different things. There's one right here you can go into and do that same setup, something like this maybe. Go with this. This is cover 1 press. And in that way, you have something. Hopefully this will take this away. I don't even know if this will take this totally away, but at least you got something there. It's in the way there, and at times you end up picking it off. So anyway, guys, I just want to point this out to you. You're going to have to adjust to it based on what your opponent. There's no play out there that's going to work on everything. So that's it on that. I just wanted to show that to you guys real quick. It's something else you need to watch for. All right, this time it's just me on the defensive side of the ball and the computer controlling the quarterback on the other side of the ball. Usually when I lab, I usually have one on offense, one on defense, but I know some of you guys may just want to just have it on defense. So that's fine too. I'm going to show you what will happen if you do this. So right now, as you guys already know, if you hold down the right trigger before the ball snap, the quarterback is never going to snap the ball, at least in practice mode. Now in regular game mode, it doesn't matter, but if you're in practice mode, you can't just sit here because you'll never actually have the blitz work. So what you'd have to do is you have to go ahead and set it up like we've been showing and slide this guy in a notch. This is what I'm showing. And once the ball snaps, you're going to want to hold down the A button and release it, and then you'll get that. So that's against the computer as far as that. So again, it's the same setup as what I've been showing. The only difference is you're going to have to work on the A button. Remember, this would be something you would do in the hot seat anyway. So this will give you a chance to practice on that. So at any rate, that's something else you guys can do as far as against the computer. If you want to practice this against the computer and not control the not control it on the offensive side of the thing, you just want to control the defense, then you can get the same type of pressure such as what I'm showing here. So at any rate, guys, that's it as far as that. I just want to go through the final thoughts really quick. Just keep in mind, when you guys are running this particular defense, it is a cover zero defense. You're going to need to mix it in with some of the other defenses, rather it be in the nickel wide over Storm Brave. You know, you're going to want to mix this in with other defenses out in nickel wide. Now, keep in mind, as I showed earlier, you can make this defense look like the double mug once you pinch the defense. It looks like the double mug. So you can do some things back and forth and flipping back and forth between those two if you so choose. So the other thing I want to point out in another video breakdown, you can actually do the same setup that I'm showing here with some of the zone defenses that are in the nickel wide over, sorry, some of the same defenses that are zone in the nickel wide. You can set them up very similar to what I'm showing here and still get that same pressure, even though they're zone defenses. And we'll show that in another video breakdown. So as I always, guys, I always appreciate it. I know this video is very, very lengthy, but I really wanted to cover everything I could to give you an idea of all the different things you need to watch out when you run this particular defense.